The Ash, Luttsy and Susie O'Neill podcast.
Righto podcast.
Hey, oh.
Good-looking weather this weekend.
How are you going to use it, Kendall?
I think I'm going to the beach tomorrow, so that will be beautiful.
What beach do you
use.
go to?
Well, my friends are taking me, and it's a surprise, but they know I'm a South Girly, so I'd like to be heading towards the Gold Coast, definitely.
Whereabouts on the south?
Well, anywhere down towards Rainbow would be my
Oh,
pick.
you go down.
Coast?
yeah.
You know
Okay.
that's my soft spot.
It's so beautiful.
Okay.
Sorry, Main Beach.
Yeah.
Before we die, we've got to have a...
sort of north surface, but
I've got to go
he's-
for a
he's more north.
surf.
Before we die, we've got to have a beer at the Rainbow Bay Surf Club.
Yes.
before you die.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Well, that's a bit morbid. Before we all kick the bucket.
Well, let's just do it next week then.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, it's a bit better.
I'm
I
available.
love it down there.
But that's your stock standard beach, is it? Like, how
Yeah,
often do you have a day
I'd
at
often
the beach?
take the kids to Burleigh, though.
Oh,
Because
do
you
you?
can park and everything's there.
Do you find parking at Burleigh easy?
Well, yeah, it's honestly never been a problem. I mean, I got special treatment from the big man, so
What do you mean?
Jesus.
I just
Who?
pray for a car park and one
Oh,
opens
oh,
up.
You actually did
right.
mean Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
We do Burleigh a bit.
Yeah.
We do it on like a sunset. Go down and get fish and
Yeah.
chips.
Sit
Bring it
on the
over,
hill?
Or do you
you
either
actually
go
sit
to
on
the
the
hill
beach?
or we'll take it across the road to the park there.
Yeah, beautiful.
Jodie grew up in Burleigh, so she loves going back there.
It's great
It's
for
a
the
good
kids.
joint.
There's 2 playgrounds, and it's just like if you
Yeah.
want coffee, it's there. If you want a bar, it's there. If you want pizza, it's there.
Yeah. No, it's good. I like Burleigh. What do you do, Mitch? Where's your regular beach? Do you take the kids to the beach much?
Go down a bit further south. Link lives at Palmy. So, yeah, I'm down there, yeah.
Does he
I
live?
didn't know
Does
he
he
lived
live
at
at Palmy?
Yeah.
That's home for him, is
Yeah.
he? Oh, so you go down there,
That's
see
where the
land,
cool
have a
kids are,
swim. Yeah.
Cool kids, yeah.
Back in the day, you'd speed up to get through the bloody joint.
So true.
Yeah.
And not that long ago, really.
No.
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 Now it's the place
Now
to be.
everyone's discovered it's still on the beach here. You know what? It's still waterfront.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
good.
It's a
Although
great
they've got
spot.
the bloody airport right there too.
Yeah.
That's a weird place to have an airport, isn't it? It's not like it's not like the,
Yeah, they
the
could've
Gold
put it-
Coast airport is like.
They could have gone 3K inland more. I think.
Well, it's like, and they could have gone sort of in the middle of the Gold Coast.
Why bother?
Like it's right down
Why
the.
bother?
It's more a Tweed Heads
Yeah,
airport
it's
than anything
New
else.
South Wales airport.
Well, for me to get to the Gold Coast airport, I actually have to leave Queensland and then re-enter Queensland. Like I go down that back way. You go. You're now in New South Wales.
I wonder if technically you
Come around the corner and you come back into Queensland.
technically you land in New South Wales. Like, where's the actual border? Would it be on the side of that
It's got to be close.
airport and that back road? Would that be the border? You know
Well,
what I mean?
well, somewhere in there, somewhere
big
in
red
that back
thing.
thing, as you go past.
That big red thing you go past. And that's when you go over the border.
Is that the border? Is it the actual red
that
thing?
red,
Yeah.
That red construction. Yeah.
They're extending the trams out there
Oh,
to the airport.
Yeah. Well, that'll be good when they do that.
What,
Yeah.
from surface?
Yeah, it's currently
pretty
under
cool.
construction in Burleigh, which does not help the parking, as you
No.
mentioned. So that's
It was a nightmare them building like those
yeah, I know,
trams
Cross
through
River Rail.
surface.
I
Like,
worked
it
on the
just took for
coast
so
as a
long.
journo then,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
was like every day of the week we were just doing stories about businesses
Businesses
shutting
going
down.
like all the way
'Cause they
through
couldn't-
surface. Yeah.
They couldn't get people to come through
Well,
because
customers
there's
couldn't get near
construction
them.
everywhere.
Yeah.
But long term, it paid off.
It
It's
has
a
actually.
linear city. It's the weirdest city
It
because it's
is.
built on the coastline, so
Yeah.
it's long and narrow. And if you want to get up or back, there's pretty much 2 roads.
Yeah.
So you
that's
need
true.
that. A tram all the way to Cooley would be awesome. Or light rail, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. So that's what they're doing, is it? I didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't know that. They've been talking about it, but
No, it's under
sort of
construction.
Going
Yeah,
ahead.
it's happening.
Yeah, it's good.
And if not, I've said it is, so now it's happening.
Yeah, well, now they'll do some. The people will be snapping fingers.
That's right.
Like around the corridors of
Chris
power.
Foley and JP get in there, Gold Coast centric.
Yeah. Well, JP will definitely get in. Like
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
been there for 100
But I mean,
years.
if he gets in at power, you know. Like,
Yeah. However, it
Michael
works.
Hart's the member for Burleigh. He's LNP as well, and he's a shoe-in.
I
Yeah,
had,
but
I had an
they're
embarrass-
in, but I mean, I think the government to be in for
Yeah.
stuff. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like, yeah.
I had
They
an-
need to get local members in to get government. That's how it works, Luttsy.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't
You don't
mean
just
anything
vote for
like that.
David Christopherly.
Yeah, there's too many
Right.
elections and too many
I know.
people.
Too many dudes on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Who's your local member, Ash?
Well, I was just going to say,
don't know.
I had a really embarrassing thing happen to me. I can't remember if it was the last state election. It probably would have been because it feels like it happened about 4 years ago. But I've pulled up to vote at Runaway Bay, and a guy's standing out the front, and he, as I'm walking in to vote, and he's handing out tickets, and he says to me, "Ash,
Oh, no.
good to see you," or something like that. And I looked at him, and he looked vaguely familiar, but I gave him the old, no, thank you. And I put my hands up and I just walked through. And then as I was in there, I turned around and I had another look at him and I went, oh, that's the member.
He knows you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he knew me.
It wasn't one of
But
his
I didn't know
volunteers.
him. But it wasn't a volunteer. I just thought it was a
he was-
volunteer.
he was
He's
the
the
guy.
actual member.
Yeah.
And it was, I just brushed it.
Fake it and you come out
I
and
was
go,
just like-
mate,
I
I need
did.
a bit of paper to vote for you, mate.
I did actually.
Yeah.
I mentioned his name as I left, but
Good.
the only reason I knew his name was because I saw it on the vote slip.
That's the worst part about going to vote, isn't it? 6 people trying to be like, oh, do you need a thing for this? And you're just like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I do not want your bits of paper. Keep them.
And don't you reckon also that that the election is like you never get asked for ID?
I don't
Exactly.
understand that.
I rock
eh?
up there
They
and I
don't.
go.
It could
I
be
go,
anyone.
my name's Ashley Bradnam. This is my, and then sometimes I'll help them look. They look at that phone book thing, and I go, "That's me. That one there."
Yeah.
What do you think? People are rushing out to vote twice?
Well, yeah.
I'm saying
Definitely.
you absolutely could.
I don't think you can because you've been
How?
crossed off in one spot and they can't.
No, but I could go.
How could they possibly know where you've been crossed off?
Yeah.
Like, actually think about the logistics of how long that would take to
And
work
yeah.
out.
Actually,
Helen-
at the
And
last
you could
state,
go in and say you're Kendall Gilding here, and then you go into another one. You go,
Yeah.
I'm Mary McGillicuddy.
Well, you say you can
and-
do it.
and-
Well, your name's only
Or you
in the
could say you
book if
Kendall
you're in
Gilding
your
again.
local area. So you've walked in at Runaway Bay, which is your local area. So your name is in that book. But if you were voting, what's that word? Absentee.
Yeah.
So outside your area. It's not like they get up a book of every person in the state and find you in there and cross it out. It's like a different system.
Yeah, but it's not computerised.
And, well, with the council election, it was. You might not remember that, but that was
I don't.
recent-ish. Was that last year?
Oh.
But
Was
the
it?
Electoral Commission moved to a more digital approach.
Well,
We'll
the
see.
last state election, be interesting to see. Because I'm telling you, there's no way if they put a line through your name and you do that 17 times, there's no way they ever
I mean, that's
get to
fair.
a point
You could
where
go
they
to
know.
you could go to lots of polling booths
Yeah.
in your area.
And tell me that
And Helen's sitting there on a Saturday night and she punches it into a system. She has to rely on someone else going through the book of tens of thousands
Yeah,
of names.
who's doing that?
Marking it off.
Kendall
Yeah.
has voted 16 times.
Yeah, just quickly
At
before we,
St.
before we
Carthage's
release
Church.
before we release the election results, Kendall Gilding's voted 6. I can't do it.
No.
Like it's a shit show.
Can you imagine? Who could be bothered?
No, but political parties, they'd
Yes,
have
I
teams
get
of
it.
people doing it.
Yes.
But the other
Who's got a grandmother? Okay, she's voting 42 times in this election. Go. Yeah. They could win elections. That
But
sort of
the
crap.
other thing is, who counts the votes? Like
The bits of paper. I
scrutineers,
know,
they're
isn't
called.
it?
who counts them,
Yeah.
and then who's watching the
No,
people who count the
I
vote?
had a mate. He was one of the watchers. Like he's only my age, and this was been at least 15 years ago. Like he was a guy like
Getting
you know
paid?
when we're going through school, like he'll be PM one day. Like he was very
Oh, right.
politically minded. You know, was school captain, part of the junior council, went on to work for the local member straight out of school and all this, and worked for the state government for a bunch of years. And he was one of those guys that would look over the shoulder of someone flipping through okay, that one's for Labor, that one's for Liberal, putting it into the thing, doing the check, whatever, however they count
There's
it.
got to be an easier way.
And I'm like, but how do you do you make sure that you're in a different, if you're in a red shirt, do you watch a blue shirt person putting it into a box so you're not sitting there going, we're all on
Because
team-
we all have to
we're
vote.
all on Labor here, aren't they? Just chuck them in the box and
Yeah.
like, click, 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 click.
Exactly.
You
click,
can't be
so-
impartial because in our country you have to vote. So you have to have an opinion.
Yeah.
So it's like there's not like a true impartiality ever for anyone.
But I'm just saying, like over the years, tell me. I mean, if you give me, like, I'm just being honest, right?
What
You-
happens if there's a fire? They're paper.
Yeah, and if you give me a wad
What
of thousands and thousands, especially those stupid ones where, they get like the House of Reps sometimes.
Yeah,
where
oh,
there's
that
like
for the
40
federal ones,
There's
where they fold it
46
out.
different candidates and people have sat there
For the
and
Senate.
gone and deliberated between 32 and 33.
The Pirate
Like,
Party
The
and
pirates
the
marijuana, the marijuana
yeah,
party.
the I fish, I vote party, all that type of stuff. Like you can't tell me. Like
fish, I root, I think
if
it
you
was.
put me in charge of that,
Yeah.
I'm just going. No, he just voted once for,
Yeah.
for so and so.
Can you imagine if
Like,
it
I
was
would
like
not be able to.
Like
do
it's
that.
all volunteers. If it was jury duty and you got called up and it was a legal requirement that you had to be there, but they didn't hold the elections in September, October, November like they do. Instead, they chuck it in May, July, and there's a Super Saturday on, and you've been called up,
Oh, yeah.
and there's 3 games of rugby league at home. You're like, I could be home watching the
I would be home.
Broncos take on the Cowboys, or I'm sitting here counting 10,000 slips of green paper.
Ashley, you counted 10,000 slips. It took you. It took you 8 minutes. How did you do that?
The Ash, Luttsy and Susie O'Neill podcast.